Can you make me co-host, or did you already?
I did. Your
Thank you.
co-host. You're welcome.
Good evening. Glad to see all of you. See, we have beautiful Canadian contingent tonight and beautiful mission Dharma, San Francisco, and points beyond. Really glad to be with you in this week after. And I noticed that David, yeah, there you go. And we'll just wait a moment or so as people drift in. As I repeat regularly, I think the best medicine is being together and hearing each other, seeing each other in whatever form we can. Remembering Thich Nhat Hanh's suggestion that the next Buddha will be the Sangha. And to me, the Sangha and the Buddha, the same. It calls us to wakefulness, calls us calls us to presence. So as many people who are willing to be seen, please turn on your camera, and whoever is willing to unmute and say good evening to each other. Let us all bathe in each other's expression of life called a voice, which is an amazing thing. So, hello from Tucson. I'm in Tucson right now.
Oh, good evening.
Good evening.
Evening.
Hello.
Feel free to say where you're calling in from.
Hello from Berkeley.
Hello, Berkeley.
Hello,
San
San
Francisco.
Francisco.
Plain old San Francisco.
Hello.
Regina.
Hello from Burlingame.
Katie from Mission, the Mission.
Hello from Olympia, Washington.
Hello, Olympia, Washington.
Mary from Santa Barbara.
Hey, Mary.
Linda from Sebastopol, California.
Hey, Linda.
Big love from Nashville.
Hey, Jerry.
Hi, Jackie up here on Salt Spring Island, British Columbia.
Hey, Jackie. Glad to have you with us.
Thanks from Berkeley.
Hey, Nina. Good to see you.
Hi.
I saw you trying.
John, San Antonio.
Hey, John. I was in your neighborhood last weekend.
Noemi from the Mission.
Hey, Noemi. Good to hear your voice. I don't see
From
you.
Grass Valley.
Paul. Hey, Grass Valley. Did you say Paul from Grass Valley?
Oh, yes.
Great to have you with us.
Glenn from Palm Springs.
Hey, Howie G. And who was calling from Palm
Oh.
Springs?
Glenn, Palm
Hey,
Springs.
Glenn. Welcome.
Mike in Palm Springs too.
Oh, great. More the merrier.
Donna from Saskatchewan, and gratitude for Howie coming to visit us.
Thank you. Yeah, it was such a joy to be up there in the prairies. Anyway, really glad you're all here, and I think we'll start with a little sitting, then we'll debrief a little bit, and to the degree that you want to. But I kept thinking today, since many beings right now, and this is nothing new under the sun, but many beings are being rocked by internal and external conditions. And we find when we practice meditation that we do not in any way try to control what presents itself in our mind, but we invite it in, we make space for it. The art of practice is the art of making space. And using my favorite Zen expression as our entree, the way to control a cow is to give it a big pasture. So let's all tonight give our minds and hearts a big pasture. It turns out the nature of mind and heart is vast, open, invisible, boundless, and it's free. So we do have within us the capacity to make room for everything. So let your eyes close softly and imagine, once you've settled, feeling your sitting body, or lying body, whichever form you're in. Just staying long enough in that felt experience for the idea of your body to give way to that experience of sensations like points of feeling or stars flickering in a vast evening sky. And once you've felt those little points of sensation, just let your mind open, your heart open. as though it has no limits, no height, no depth, no color, no form, no inside, no outside, just open, yet aware. And whatever you feel as you sit, even as your body breathes, or any mood, any area of tension, any contraction, any feelings, anxieties, fear, dread, sadness, whatever it is, just let it float. Let it be in that open, receptive, kind, and interested space of awareness. The space of awareness is always quiet. And so whatever chaos bathes in that quiet will be quieted. Just let everything be welcomed in the sky like nature. The sounds, sensation, even thoughts and images, let them be like clouds floating through a windy sky. And if that space feels too spacious, just keep a close attention to the feeling of the sitting body and the breath as a support to remaining here, remaining open. Breathing, sitting with space. And then see what comes. See what wants to be felt. See what wants to be thought or heard. Everything welcome. And when you realize you've been lost in a little dream, absorbed in a memory or a worry or a fantasy, appreciate that mindfulness has risen up to know, to reawaken, to come back online. Just unfurl your mind, just let it open again into its natural spaciousness, natural peace and ease. Just this moment, just this being aware. Just this sky-like nature of the heart and mind. It's home. Let the sounds come and go. Let the sensations flicker like stars in a vast evening sky. Let the moods move through like internal weather. And let the thoughts arise and fade like clouds blowing through a windy sky. We have no more reality than that. Everything welcome. This vast openness of the heart mind. Nothing to do about what is noticed, nothing to undo, nothing to fix or figure out. Just making space. Just this moment. And for those for whom the space of mind is just too vague, just feel the sitting body and sink into the experience of the body breathing. Stick to it, spread out all around it. Don't miss any part of the in-breath and the out-breath. And if you feel open to it, just let the space of awareness be your anchor. Just this moment. Give space to whatever you're experiencing. Just rest in that sky-like nature of the mind. It's home. It's welcoming. It's impartial. It renders whatever is being noticed workable, simple. Whatever is being experienced is just the way it is. The sky does not judge it. Sky doesn't do anything about it or undo it. It just makes space. And through that art of making space, it pacifies. Everything settles into that quiet openness of heart and mind. The space of mind is outside of time. Free. Rest in the sky-like nature of the heart-mind. Clearly noticing what's happening is already making space. Once you wake up to where you are, just let your mind open. And be limitless, free, like a clear, open sky without limits. Room for sensations, room for moods, room for thoughts and images, sounds. Remaining still. in the last minute's rest, in the sky-like nature of the mind. It's home, it's quiet, it's welcoming. Rest your weary mind in this natural great peace. Let all your sorrows bathe in this kind attention. Quite nice to get a chance to stop with you, keep quiet. Remember that the heart-mind has no limits, free, open like the sky. It can easily feel like there's not enough space, especially if we're conditioned to think that our mind is somehow between our ears. But our mind is everything. I'm in your mind, you're in my mind. And so the nature of heart, mind is boundless. So whatever you're experiencing, there's room for it. I think it's especially important when our mind-body system has been jangled, traumatized. And I don't know about you, but a lot of people feeling dread, depressed. You relate to that? Numb, anxious, frightened, but also perhaps resigned, peaceful, easeful, the whole range. But whether it's the joys or the sorrows, it's nice to know that there's room, there's space. Curious what's happening with you. Any comments, questions, descriptions, check-ins. Sure, whatever is happening with you is probably useful for someone else to hear. And so any comments, questions, topics that have emerged from the sitting or from this last week. Of course, nothing new under the sun. Just kidding. Anyway, are there any? Feel free to use the raised hand function and check in if you like. Carrie wrote a little note asking how we would survive. Of course we'll survive. Isn't it true that even if we had the worst diagnosis, loss, everything, what's the adage? We try to make the best of it. And exactly the way we will get through this period of time, we'll make the best of it. And if not just for ourselves, we'll try to make the best for people who need it the most. David, thanks for breaking the ice.
Yeah, I'll try to keep this in the realm of meditation, but
And your own, and preferably your own experience. Okay?
And my own experience. But it is sort of a reminder that we think that we think we're in harmony or similar wavelength, or with the rest of the world in basic ways. And it's I cannot remember a time in my life when I felt so out of sync with, or that it was brought to my attention, I guess, is what I'm saying. And I just I again, I'll try to keep it in the realm of practice, but I worked really hard to try to went to Reno, went to Modesto, did talk to a lot of people, and I still I just find my own process is between just tuning out a lot and then confusion, so anyway, I guess I'm just saying that it's been a very disorienting week for me personally.
No, fair enough. And I
And
think you give voice to a lot of people.
and I it is, and I guess I did come back to the practice quite often, just saying, my little mantra was for the week was, I'm not going to let these people own my mind for the next 4 years.
Good one. Thank you. I'm sure other people will benefit from that. You're not alone, David. Nina, so good to see you.
Good to
Please
see
feel
you.
free.
Good to see you too, Howie. Thank you so much. As always, I'm gonna ask a question that's like basically a variation of a question I've already asked you, but who cares? I want to hear what you're gonna say. So what's arising for me is this just sort of ever-present question and dance of being with versus working with, as I've heard some teachers put it. Wanting to know what tips a person off that it would behoove them, that it would be wise to receive just in that spaciousness, that sort of prime directive of non-interference, or it would be more skillful to meet it in a certain way, cultivate a certain something, in effect, shift it, change it. Like it even makes me think of in like Mindfulness by Joseph Goldstein, when he mentions that there's a technique he calls cowboy Dharma, where if there's really a recurring thought, he basically just like shoots it down. Like sometimes just be like, no, okay, no. So I'm wondering, just that as an example, that balance between like everything's so loud, open pasture, and then being like, not on my watch, lovingly with humor. So that being with versus working with axis is what's up for me. I just wanted to hear what comes to mind for you on that.
It's a great question. And even if it is a repeat, no, it's not. I don't remember it as a repeat. However, to me, the answer is in the, there's no either or. To me, when one practices that kind of open, spacious, allowing, that's also creating the conditions for our intuition, our intelligence, our recognition of some skillful means that may be necessary and helpful. Like if I see over and over there's a repeat of a kind of self-flagellating self-judgment, it's not rocket science to know that what would be nice to infuse in the mind stream, a kind of replacement theory with loving kindness, with compassion, with feeling the pain of that. So no one has to tell you that, what to do or when to do it. It is embedded in that vacuous openness that we know. As I often say when I'm offering the teachings on the sky-like nature of the mind, I always say our mind is not the sky. It's sky-like in its openness, its impartiality, its receptivity, but it's so much juicier because it has awareness, it has intelligence, it has intuition. And if we really could trust that, then you'd know exactly what to do. Time for cowboy Dharma. Now, one thing that one learns that is part of the training, one realizes that cowboy Dharma doesn't work if there's aversion to the thinking mind. It only works when there's neither fear or aversion. Then you can actually say no and it goes away. It slithers off. But if there's aversion or a fear, it's just inviting more tension and more discursive thinking. So that's nuanced. It's not just, we learn as we go along too. It's like life experience.
You're telling me to grow up, Howie?
I want to be like you when I grow up.
Oh, don't even. I'm a self-identified cone head, which is what I've named your followers.
Very funny.
Thank you, Howie.
Thank you. Okay, other cone heads? No, just kidding. Any other comments, questions, topics? Noemi, so good to hear from you.
Hello. I've been trying very hard to realize those who I differ from.
Those who you
differ from.
Differ from, yes.
How to not lose their humanity as I feel, and this is my assumption, my humanity is lost to them.
Yeah, maybe.
And that isn't something. So we're talking about 70 plus million people who said that a convicted felon, a rapist, a racist, a grifter he's a human being too, but Hitler was a human being.
Well
How do
said.
you find the humanity in people, in someone who likes to destroy?
Hmm.
And how do you keep the humanity of the people who think it's all right to, it's all right for someone to be the president of the United States? I don't know, where a friend of mine was reading me something of the woman of color who was writing to other people of color, and women saying, the people of color, if you're gonna be locked up, I'm not gonna help you. If you're a woman and you want an abortion, it's not my problem. You voted for this.
Hmm.
And, and part of me is, yeah, right on. But
Hmm.
part of me, why did you choose pain? And
Hmm.
I really struggle with that. There
Hmm.
really no, these are other human beings, and to give them meta when all I want to say is, if you go down, no one's gonna help you. Like because I'm gonna go down.
Hmm.
So
No simple answer, but
they're human.
they're human and they have one of the three poisons. All three
Are
poisons:
all
greed, hatred, and delusion. And and no one's immune to ignorance, confusion, and obliviousness, and the shroud of whatever numbing that happens in our culture and our world. They're telling us something that we all need to listen to.
yeah.
And it's not about inflation or it's,
No, it is. They're holding a mirror.
yeah,
I mean, and they're taking away the veil of things that have always been here.
that's right. Yeah.
So,
Well, I really appreciate your elegant presenting of the heartache of it all and the pain of it all and the question of it all. But this is what we are actually practicing for, being able to accommodate confusion and uncertainty and not knowing. And, you know, I remember the first time. I remember when what was his name? Sansanim, the Korean Zen master, came to Insight Meditation Society. And instead of teaching us about knowing this and knowing that, he says, who are you? You think you don't know. Just keep don't know mind. I mean, we have to, it's that not knowing that is the state of mind that we can actually explore this, discover it. And the tendency is to make conclusions and then to land in a view like tough, shit, excuse the expression. You made your, that's just a reactive mind. That's just understandable, but that's not, we can't rest on that. We have to do our practice and include not knowing. Yeah. Yeah. So sorry for all of us from our perspective anyway. Mary, please feel free.
Unmute here. I was so engrossed in what you were saying. Can you hear me okay?
Perfectly. And I can see you okay too.
Okay. Well, like most people, this has been a kind of roller coaster of a week, and I just kind of had to let go. Sometimes I felt, very sad, very angry, very frightened, etc., confused, whatever. And I've just been like, okay, this is how I feel right now. And it like changes. I mean, I feel one way in the morning and one way in the afternoon and one way in the evening. It just kind of keeps going through all these different emotions. And I think right now I'm at the point of feeling kind of just exhausted from all the, but that's good. I also realized I have to let things just settle and feel it all.
Beautiful. Well said.
And then at some point, to take whatever action I can. In fact, I even called about a bill. I called my congressman. There's some really scary bill about anyway, but I don't want to get too political. But the other thing is, I also there are parts of it I do understand. A lot of it I don't. I think it's a lot of misinformation and preying on people's fears and prejudices. But there are some things that I think both sides underneath feel, which is that we've had this, 40-year slide away from the middle class. And people are unhappy about that. They're unhappy that nobody, neither party is actually really, or maybe the system's just broken because there's so much money behind it, but nothing is being corrected. And I think that they were looking on both sides for a sort of populist to be outside of the mainstream and, do something different, anything. Unfortunately, they sort of made the wrong choice and, chose somebody who is very much a con man and a grifter and all the other preys on people's fears and stokes all those terrible things. And it's really scary, I think, to have that in our own country in our own time. It's really overwhelming right now. And so I think things just some point will settle a little bit more. I think we are all kind of traumatized and shock, or at least half the country. But that's something to remember too. It is half the country. There's still a lot of people who see things very differently, and we have to somebody said something that made a lot of sense to me, like we're here now in this time, so this is our job.
This is our job, exactly.
Yeah. So we need to fight the good fight, catch our breath.
That's right.
But then in whatever way that is, whether it's through meditating or through activism or everything, maybe all of the above. So,
all of the above.
Thank you so much for being here. I just need the Tuesday night now more than ever. We'll all be cone heads. I like that. We need a little humor too. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary. Jose, so great to see you. You have to unmute though.
So good to see you too.
Miss you in person.
Yeah. Well, something that we need to remember is that we all live in a bubble. Like for example, I hear that the half of America does not know what Netflix is, and I don't think I know someone who doesn't know what Netflix is.
Did you say NAFTA?
Netflix, the app that you see movies on, or the website.
Oh, Netflix, Netflix.
Yeah.
Yes, yes,
Yeah. So,
exactly. That's a good reminder.
yeah.
Well said. Yes, that we do live in a bubble. Anyway, so good to see you. Thanks for reminding us that there's such different realities. Well, you've all voiced what feelings that I've felt in the last week. I had the good fortune of leading a retreat in abortion ban country in Texas. No offense to Texas, love Texans, but out in the country between Houston and Austin. But it was mostly serving the Houston community. And on Thursday, when everybody arrived at the retreat, I looked out at the room and it was literally less than 2 days after the election, and it looked like land of the living dead. It was just a flat affect, and I even tried to acknowledge it, things we're talking about tonight, and it seemed like it was it was such shock, and I have a feeling there still is a measure of shock and dread and all things mixed up, and we tend to, as Mary was alluding to, it takes a bit of time to metabolize things and get our bearings and rest, and then see how we want to respond. So not to be so quick to think you have to do something. That's part of the value of the meditative practice, is that it's the meditative awareness that sees things, that allows us to see things as they are, and then to let our good hearts speak, let our intuition speak, and then in whatever way we can, if we need to take care of ourselves more now, or if we know so many people are going to need our care. That's really why we practice, so that we can ride the waves. And I say this over and over, but to be a refuge for others, because not everybody knows that even in the midst of the pain of the world, that there is within us peace. And yogis tend to know that. And whether you may not have known it up to this point, but if you've been practicing, there's something in you that, I don't want you to be busy doing this, but there's something in you that gives off the fragrance of peace, that creates for others a feeling of safety, that creates for others a feeling of there being something, some goodness. And not that you're busy being good or safe or any of that, but that your practice has consequences. because your state of mind doesn't exist independently apart from everyone. So this is what you're made for, to keep practicing, to keep being peace, keep being a refuge, keep remembering, as Albert Camus put it. I know I've shared one part of this many times, where he said, in the midst of winter, I realized that there was within me an invincible summer. And in a letter he wrote, "My dear, in the midst of hate, I found there was within me an invincible love. In the midst of tears, I found that there was within me an invincible smile. In the midst of chaos, I found there was within me an invincible calm. I realized through it all that in the midst of winter," again, I'll repeat this, "I found that there was within me an invincible summer." And that makes me happy. So we can, and when I say happy in this case, I always think of the Buddha's notion of happiness, the highest happiness being peace. It reminds me of peace. For it says that no matter how hard the world pushes against me, within me there's something stronger, something better pushing right back. It's from Albert Camus. And tonight I brought along, just because it's just part of why I was inspired for the meditation part, to bring in the Tibetan practice of cultivating, reminding ourselves of the sky-like nature of the mind. That's from the Vajrayana Tibetan school. I was inspired by a poem that I received that was written by Joseph Goldstein, who is, for those of you who know, a very dear friend of mine, root insight meditation teacher for me and for countless thousands, preeminent Western Dharma teacher. He wrote a poem for this time, and I thought that it would be an appropriate night to pass it on to you. And it's essentially saying some of what I've just said, and he entitled it "Awake." An interesting play on awake. Waking to a new world order, fear, dread, and for some hope. Unpredictable darkness. The market rises 1,500 points. What is this world we live in? The fall of the Roman Republic after hundreds of years. Peace emerging after global wars. Are we like addicts needing to hit bottom before a glimmer of light appears? Is there a refuge, a sanctuary, an island of peace? Space, that embracing openness, holding every possibility, and not only the bright ones. Space of mind, space of heart, holding it all. Space liberates every thought, holds every pain, holds the obscuring clouds and the light behind. Can we rest in space, rest in awareness, responding from a freedom that cannot be sullied, cannot be destroyed? Our refuge, our home, in the center of the storm. And to me, this is why we practice. And it's also why we practice is to continue, is to counteract, the descriptions of our new again leader. Liar, grifter, rapist, racist, all the characterizations. But we counter that with what in the Buddha's teaching is called merit. Cultivating the wholesome every single day. The urgency of cultivating the wholesome meaning harmlessness, meaning merit just means that which is good for you and good for everyone. Telling the truth, practicing kindness, practicing non-clinging, non-condemning, love, not ill will. You know, everything that you've heard over and over again. Never has it been more important to practice. So I guess I say this because the tendency is to just kind of shut down. To me, it's somehow, at least while I'm in this seat tonight, I have different moods at different times, but I'm inspired right now. I'm inspired to do what I can. Inspired to not be, I forgot, someone here said, not be David. Yeah, David says, I don't want him to be, I don't want whoever it is to be taking up space in my mind. The space of my mind is going to be taken up with the cultivation of goodwill, cultivation of that unshakable peace, the remembering again and again and again, and then letting that fragrance of that be felt by everybody. Again, don't underestimate the power of what you cultivate. At least that's what I'm going to try to do. And also just for me, the practice is the courage to care, to speak out, to do what needs to be done. I'm really, but more, maybe more than anything is that equanimity, is that capacity. We have to have the capacity to meet the joys and the sorrows. Just like Joseph was saying, space of mind, holding it all, holding every possibility and not just the bright ones. Not being Pollyannish. So, and as far as, I remember with every traumatic experience like the pandemic and like the first Trump election and I have so many people in my life right now who are ill, who are kind of losing it, dementia, Alzheimer's, diminished health behavior, diminished capacities. When things hit, there's this tendency, just like with the pandemic, to want to get over it. And I think I'll just leave you with what has been my favorite poem for the last year or so, from Albert Hofstadter. Some of you have been hearing it lately. I'm sure I've read it lately because it's been so meaningful. But this poem is entitled The Cure. We think we get over things. We don't get over things. Or say we get over the measles, but not a broken heart. Yikes. Wonder where that's coming from. Or say we get over the measles, but not a broken heart. We need to make that distinction. The things that become part of our experience never become less part of our experience. How can I say it? The way to get over a life is to die. Short of that, you move with it. Let the pain be pain, not in the hope that it will vanish, but in the faith that it will fit in, find its place in the shape of things, and be then not any less pain, but true to form. Because anything natural has an inherent shape and will flow towards it. And a life is as natural as a leaf. That's what we're looking for. Not the end of a thing, but the shape of it. Wisdom is seeing the shape of your life without obliterating, getting over a single instant of it. So, of course, the impulse, we love ourselves, so the impulse is to want to wake up from a bad dream. But we just have to flow with what's happening, what has happened, and know that we don't know what will happen next, but we don't try to get over it. We move with it. And again, our sitting in the middle allows us to do that a little bit more. To, as Donald Babcock says, to repose in the immediate, as if it were infinity, which it is. To ease ourselves into the boundless, right where it touches us. So let's just sit quietly for a moment. Ease ourselves into the boundless, right where it touches us. And apply the words of U Tejaniya, the meditation teacher, who said, whatever you're experiencing in this moment is the right experience. There's no need to be happy or unhappy with what is happening. There's no need to like or dislike the experience. Just be happy that there is the knowing and the awareness, as this itself is already wholesome. And we gather all the wholesome forces, our caring, our wakefulness, kindness. And we let the blessings of our life, our practice, be shared with all beings, and we follow the words of Shantideva. May I become at all times, both now and forever, a protector for those without protection, a guide for those who have lost their way, a ship for those with oceans to cross, a bridge for those with rivers to cross, a sanctuary for those in danger, a lamp for those without light, a place of refuge for those who lack shelter, and a servant to all in need. May all beings find safety in this uncertain world. May our life be of benefit. Hmm. Anyway, thanks for hanging in there. Catherine, do you have any announcements?
Yeah, just some brief announcements. I put them all in the chat if you want to scroll through, but there is going to be a retreat at Spirit Rock for those local to the Bay Area or traveling December 14th through the 18th. And there's a registration link in the chat or in our weekly newsletter.
Can I clarify that a little bit?
Yeah, please
On
do.
the 14th, there's an in-person day long at Spirit Rock that I'm doing. And that same day, I'm beginning a retreat, an online retreat, 14th to the 18th, along with Genevieve Traeger. And that will be an online, but simulate what it feels like to be in person, on retreat. And that will be, and that's, as you said, the link for that is on our website. But the day long on the 14th, come one, come all at Spirit Rock. It's also being offered virtually, hybrid.
Howie, can you just talk about the hours for the 14th through the 18th?
The hours are there are different portions of the day, and the potential is to do 3 or 4 chunks of a few hours, but because it's a lot of the people who are attending the retreat are using it as a requirement for the MMTCP mindfulness teacher training program. They're required to only do 2 or 3 of the sections each day. And so it's really up to you if you're not part of that program. But you can be here, you can basically be practicing teachings all day long and into the evening.
Okay.
So I can't be more specific right now, but all that will become clear if you go to the site and you can kind of study the form that it's taking. Catherine,
And then there are a couple events through the San Francisco Insight Dharma Center. On November 23rd, there's an Ocean Beach cleanup, and the information to sign up is there. It's 10 to 11:30 a.m. And then there is also a Rainbow Community Day of Buddhist meditation practice on December 7th for people who identify as LGBTQIA and GNC are welcome to join. And that is, go ahead, Howie.
well, I have one. On the 22nd of November, I'll be in Vancouver for any of the BC people. Come a weekend retreat at the Asian Center at University of British Columbia. So come one, come all.
Great.
Just in case that got missed.
Yeah, sorry about that.
No problem.
And then to offer your dana to support Howie and the Sangha, the information to do that is in the chat. And thank you for your generosity.
Thank you. Okay, feel free to unmute and say goodnight to each other. Thank you, Catherine, for co-hosting.
You're
and
welcome.
Mostly thank all of you for holding each other up during this really challenging time.
Thank you, Howie.
Thank you, Howie.
Everyone.
Thank you, Howie.
Thank you, everyone.
Good night, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Night, Cohn
Good night.
Head.
Good night,
Night,
everyone.
everyone.
Night.
Thank
See
you.
you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Make the best of it.